just end it. And oh man, that was sad. The whole thing just felt sad at the end, didn't it? I don't know. So I'm waiting for my special guest to get on here. While I'm waiting, I gotta just get this off my chest because it's been a rough 24 hours for me. So I was hitchhiking to New York City in my Chuckledale mascot costume in order to go to the UFC 295. It took me 9 hours. I made it 30 miles, and so I couldn't get anybody to pick me up after that, and that ended it. So I was totally bummed about that. Then I come back and I find out that one of my Facebook friends shot his wife 7 times and murdered her. So I've been like, just my mind is like ready to explode with all the just crap. But now that I got that out of the way, I'm super excited for my special guest tonight. It's Josh. He'll be logging on here momentarily. Josh is the one of the admins of the largest Facebook fan group on Facebook, and the guy is just incredible. He's such a like resource of information, and I cannot wait to see what he has to say about this episode because we have going into this thing. I had predicted that Kelly would get voted out, and I think I said Bruce. Bruce, just because his days are numbered. I think that seems pretty obvious. Kelly, because I thought Austin would be smart enough to get her out so he could upgrade his, I don't know, what is it, his amulet thing into a full idol, if I'm not mistaken. So, excuse me. The teaser for the next episode is the auction being back. Now, the auction, that's the food auction, right? Am I wrong? Can somebody correct me on that in the comments? Because I'm pretty sure that's what that means, but they didn't show any footage from it. They just said the Survivor auction is back. And I know the fans, we've all been craving that for a long time. That's one of the most fun things on the show. They also teased a girls' alliance, which that just, I think that was clickbait. I just don't see that happening. You know, like there's no way Austin and Drew are going to abandon D and Julie, or I'm sorry, D and Julie are going to abandon Austin and Drew. That seems like such a good bond, but they're not going to be in the numbers now because they lost Sifu. So as bad as disposable as Bruce is, Kendra, Kelly, Jake, and Katura, they've got the numbers, you know, and unless, who did Emily vote with on this one? Did she go? She voted with Bello. Okay, so Emily, if Emily sticks with Bello and Bello stays strong, you could just pick off Reba. You've got the numbers, unless they keep doing these split challenges, which is really what kind of threw me off. The split challenge thing, I don't know. Just make it individual. I'm fine with 2 immunity idols, you know, but the group thing just, and then the first person that got voted off wasn't even on the jury. I'm like, bleh, whatever. I don't know. That I did see a funny meme. Josh, where you at? His in his group, somebody had posted a meme about the idol, and it looked like a Walmart idol. It was for the, I think, Survivor UK version. If any of you watched the other countries, I think it was UK, but it looked like a piece of gold on. He just texted me. He's coming now. You're fine, Josh. Take your time. In the meantime, I can entertain everybody with my pink cat. Little buddy, say hi. I dyed her pink for her birthday back in like July. I cannot believe she's still pink. Like if you ladies out there that dye your hair, my guess is you probably you probably have to do it like what, every month or two, something like that. Use pet hair dye. That stuff is apparently it's incredible because it's not going away. It's a little lighter, but I don't know. Whatever. They should let wouldn't that be something on Survivor if they let somebody play that had like a service animal or something like that? That would be an interesting twist. We've never seen that before. It would have to be like a dog though. They're not going to let like somebody's emotional support squirrel on the show or something like that. I mean, hey, maybe I'll be wrong on that one, but I don't know. We've never seen that. We've never seen someone on the show with a an emotional support animal. I'll try to adjust my lens here. There we go. Um, one thing I want to mention about last episode, not the one we just watched. I feel like a complete idiot for this. J Maya went home. If she would have voted anyone but Caleb, that person would have gone home. I can't even believe that they didn't even, all those people didn't even think to split votes. Like, what if Caleb had an idol, you know, last week or something like that? And then I can't wait to see Josh when he gets on here. Have they picked up on the fact that there were 11? I thought the previous high for most votes cast against somebody was 11 for Kelly Wentworth. Was it Kelly Wentworth? Kelly Wigglesworth, whatever. And everybody assumed that Caleb got 12 last tribal council, but really he didn't. He got, I believe, 11, if I'm not mistaken, because Austin didn't vote because he upgraded his amulet. I wish below their names it would say on there. Oh, my cat cut me. I kind of felt her when I was picking up. Uh, she sliced me a little bit. I wish below their names they would list like all the advantages because I can't even keep track of Drew and Austin's walk away thing, his full idol thing, his partial amulet thing, his blah blah blah. Does anyone else have trouble with that? Trying to keep track of all the different advantages and stuff like that in the game? Because holy moly, I can't seem to. Nobody noticed because they all said 12. Yeah. Thanks, Sherry. By the way, Sherry was an awesome guest last week. Thanks for coming on here. And if anybody wants to get on here with me, other than this week, obviously, because Josh is going to be getting on here any minute now, message me because I love having new people and talking the show and just different perspectives and opinions. And I'll be honest, Josh, I've been trying to get him on. What was this, Ep.7? I've been trying to get him on here for I believe 7 straight episodes. So he's a busy guy. He was at a watch party a couple times and just busier than crap. So I'm really, really excited to. Is it called meeting someone still when it's virtual? Because I've never met him in real life, but I think like over this is still called meeting somebody, right? I'm 40, so I'm trying to figure out how this works. You know how like you talk to somebody on the phone, like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and it's like, wait a minute, do we meet? We're just talking on the phone. If I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Um, who thought Bruce was going to play his idol tonight? I did. Because you could tell that him and Kendra just weren't seeing eye to eye. Katura just lost the jury vote. Yeah, but Katura, I don't think she ever had that jury vote. Hold on one second. Josh, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. Thank you for finally getting on here, man. It's an honor to finally. I believe this is called meeting someone, right? Is that what this is still?
Yeah. How's it going? No, it's
Yeah.
great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to get you on for a while, because I've been. So we first. Let me think here. We first crossed paths on the web. Probably was it when I was walking across the country back in 2021?
Yeah, that was probably when I first like kind of like when you popped up and like, oh, this is interesting. He's walking across the country. And then yeah, I really like started because you were posting kind of daily or
Yeah.
weekly like updates, and yeah, I was really following.
Yeah. I really appreciate the support for sure. Because I can tell you when you're so long story short for the people that just joining us, I walked across America in '09 to drop off my Survivor application. A friend of mine gave me the idea before she passed away, and then they say you're only an idiot if you do the same thing, expect a different result. So I did it again back in 2021 because the pandemic. I was just tired of sitting around waiting. I was like, I have to do something. Well, I was walking to the live finale. Little did I know there was no live finale. And let me
Right.
just tell you, when you're all you do is walk all day and video and vlog, and you really live for people in the comment section and the shares and the likes and all that because you're so isolated and alone that those things
Right.
really mean something. I hate to sound shallow, but like I really appreciated your group and Robin, who is the
Oh yeah.
founder of your group, who's phenomenal. She was, I think, my first guest on here,
Yeah.
letting me post in your group because there were a lot of groups that wouldn't even let me post, and it's like, and I kind of, it was nice to, you know, I guess I didn't necessarily need it, but I needed it. You know what I mean? It's hard to I don't know, but I really do appreciate the support over the years, and I'm so glad to have you on here. So you just got done watching an episode like the rest of us. First
Yeah.
of all, last week, who was your prediction for who was going to go home this week? Since we knew there were going to be 2 people getting voted out.
Honestly, last week after he barely survived, like I was expecting this episode to be like Caleb's victory lap kind, because you survive in such an epic way. But I definitely thought him getting all of the votes, that's a huge target. That's very hard to overcome. And
Did
like
he set the record though? I don't know because the record was what 11, but he got 11, but they think he got 12, right?
yeah. So yeah, he must have tied it.
He tied it, so he doesn't have
Yeah,
the record then. But they all
yeah,
think he has the record.
yeah.
Wait till they find out.
Right.
Oh goodness. So you thought Caleb was going to get the victory lap, and you thought he was going to overperform this episode, basically.
I thought so, and I thought, okay, you get every vote. Okay, you're really playing down, but he's so charmable. He has a great personality and
Yeah.
story. Like I was charmed by him just off the couch. He's smiling, talking with everybody, and there are players still in the game that weren't talking to anybody for a lot of the time on the beach.
Yeah.
Bruce specifically, we never really see him talking positively with anybody
Ever.
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 No.
Him and Katura are on like a one way. I cannot wait to see how that comes to a head. Every episode,
Right?
I swear that's gonna happen. One of my picks was Bruce this week. I thought Bruce was going home because I just thought it's gonna come to a head. Here we go. But yeah, I was
Oh
wrong.
yeah.
I was wrong. So who are your two picks that you thought were gonna go home this episode?
Yeah, so it was Caleb, and then I was kind of leaning towards Bruce just because the whole season, each time we see him interact with somebody, that person then has a confessional that they're like, I really can't stand Bruce, or I have no idea what he's talking about, and then it shows us clips of Bruce talking about like either telling him what to do, or it's like random clips of just him talking about kind of nothing, but also lecturing them at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even his own like teammates are just like, I'm so over this guy. Like I'm trying to think like who are his honestly, who are his real alliance members at this point? And other than saying Bello, like who is he like Katura? No. Jake, I
Mhm.
mean maybe Kelly,
Yeah, no.
Kendra, Emily. Like I
Yeah,
guess Jake's
yeah.
his only real ally, and now he doesn't have a choice because he's you saw him at the end of the episode just oh, it was me, Julie. Like he told on himself right away. He wasn't getting out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So you thought Bruce was going home, and you thought Caleb was going home. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying from this
yeah.
episode? My other one. Now, hear me out on this. That I thought was going home tonight. I thought for sure it was going to be Kelly. I was sure. Now, obviously, I didn't know that she was going to end up winning immunity and all that, but
Right, yeah.
I was. Austin has played such a solid game.
Right, yeah.
He has to. What can you refresh me because I am such an idiot when it comes to this. So originally there were three people in. They got rid of Jemiah. So the amulet got upgraded from what to what?
Okay, so when it was just 3, it was
Steal a vote.
steal a vote. Then it got I'm trying to remember.
It got upgraded to what was it? What's the one where you can walk away from tribal?
Oh, safety without power.
Is that what it got upgraded to?
Um, I I think so. I'm trying to remember the
The ultimate one was an idol, a full
yeah,
blown
the
idol,
ultimate one.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, hopefully he can figure out how to get rid of Kelly so he can upgrade that. And I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it. If you're looking at these tribes, you've got Bruce, Kendra, Kelly, Jake, Katura, right? You've got
Right.
5 Bello, and then Emily just voted with Bello, right?
Mhm.
So in theory, that would make 6. Even though honestly, I thought she was tighter with Austin and Drew. But if you've got essentially 6 Bello versus Austin, Drew, D, Julie, that's 6-4. Why wouldn't they just pick them off one by one? They can afford to lose Bruce. I'll give them that, which I could see that
Yeah.
Kendra's already shown that she's willing to turn on Bruce.
Oh
But
yeah.
I just and Katura, those bonds don't seem that strong. She was upset that they didn't share the idol knowledge with her, and then the digging
Yeah.
for the ring thing. You could tell she was genuinely hurt by that.
Yeah,
But
that was kind of a weird thing this episode because she was totally with them, and then we had that like it was only like a 5 or 10 second clip where they told her about the rings and the idol, and then we saw that was enough that she turned on them. She was the
yeah,
swing vote.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was one of the times in the game where you're like, "Oh wow, like that was personal. That was not like it didn't
Hmm.
feel like it was like strategic gameplay. It was like,
No, in fact, I think it was kind of like counter to like what her game play should have been. Like, who's she going to work with now? I think
yeah."
even though they lied to her about the idol, like that's obviously that's Survivor. Now she's kind of on an island by herself.
I feel that way about a few people. Emily, you can make the argument she's on an island by herself. Katura, Jake,
Mhm.
those three just kind of seem Bruce is
Yeah.
what I don't know where he's going. Holy moly. I mean, if those 6 get together, they're fine. They'll ride it to the end. But
Right.
They have to have Bruce as a backup disposable because Austin and Drew have so many. I can't wait to see how all these advantages flush out because there's like three. I think there's three of them between the two of them, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, do you know if there's more idols out there? Do we have any way of knowing that? Because they never really showed anybody looking.
Yeah, they haven't really showed anybody looking, and yeah, really the only reference to idols this episode was the one that was left behind at camp, which is crazy to me. Like, if you think you're in trouble at all, you always just I would carry my idol just like tucked away. I don't know. I would be so
Oh,
paranoid. You just have it on you.
I wrote that down. Yeah, Drew left. He walked away. He had the advantage was in his bag or something like that.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, but they yeah.
Why wouldn't you always have your bag with you? Period. I don't understand that. Is it just that much of a pain to carry around? I mean, how? I mean, it probably. You know what? Sadly, Josh, it probably looks suspicious if you have your bag with you the whole time. So
Right, yeah.
you don't want to look like maybe you're overplaying. But by
Mhm.
the same token, I don't know. I don't like when Survivor. I thought the immunity challenge. They can do two immunities. That's fine. But I didn't like
Yeah.
how they broke it up into groups of six and just I don't know. Maybe it makes me think too hard.
Yeah.
Whatever, whatever. Um,
Yeah, the groups, yeah, I didn't necessarily like that too much. Like I like when it's just them all. If it's individual, it should just be them like all kind of verse each other. And then
yeah.
also with the challenge today, I like that challenge. It's like it looks super hard, and I don't think I would last like 30 seconds. My feet would kill me. I'll be wrapped. I'll be like slowly sliding down that thing. But they didn't show us the elapsed time at all, unless I missed it.
That's so funny you said that. I wrote that in my notes. The first thing I said was elapsed time. They finally did say 17 minutes.
Oh,
But then
17 minutes. Okay.
after they said 17 minutes, though, they didn't give us what the final thing. So it might have been 17 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh yeah,
For all
yeah,
I know. I mean, I don't know. Now I'm glad you're talking about this challenge because there's a few things I noticed in that I want to pick your brain on. So that pole was every bit of 10 to 12 feet. That was
yeah,
really high. And you can tell that they clearly did not climb up it because they wouldn't have made it. I couldn't have climbed that pole.
yeah. No, yeah,
There's no way. So how did they get up there? That's my question.
yeah. That would be a cool thing for them to like. Was it
Show
two
behind the
seasons
scene.
ago? That yeah, 2 seasons ago they were really big on show. Like they would pan the camera over, and we were actually seeing the crew. Like
Yeah.
they could, for as long as the episodes are, they could kind of show us a little bit of more of that. But then also for as long as these episodes were, we're I still feel like we're missing out on some like key conversations. And like
That's funny you said that. I feel the exact same way. Now tonight was a little bit of an exception because two people went home, so they had 45
yeah,
minutes if you wanted to say split. So it was basically like two episodes, whatever. But in
right,
general, I've noticed when you post in your group, people are saying the exact same thing. They're like, even though it's longer, it's like I don't know how some of us don't feel like we're getting a lot more considering we're getting so much more time. You know what I mean?
right,
I don't know how to quantify that, but I've certainly noticed it as well.
yeah.
Um
Well, because
uh,
it's yeah, especially like tonight with. Hold on, I got my notes here.
I had to keep notes too.
Oh
As we
yeah,
get deeper in the season, it helps me because otherwise I'm a mess.
right. Well, with Sifu going home, I didn't see like throughout the season. I haven't seen him, and we're probably just not seeing things, but I haven't seen him as that big of a threat. I feel like
What? Okay.
yeah,
That did you hear him at Tribal again earlier saying, I'm a threat." I'm like, "Okay. Didn't Caleb just say he was the biggest threat in the game last
yeah,
what are these people thinking? Is it kind of like Sean knows he's going home, so he's going to try to create his own narrative kind of thing? Like if I'm going out, I'm going to let everybody know that I'm the biggest threat, and that's why I'm going out, and it's all
yeah,
ego.
yeah.
Or I'm going to go since I know I'm going out. I just want to. I love my husband so much. I want to go see him. Like what I don't
Hmm.
understand these narratives that they're going with. I don't know.
No, yeah,
I,
because yeah, exactly. I think yeah, you're making a very valid point because the times that we have seen Sifu, he's usually just screwing around with Bruce. Like we're seeing his kind of personality of like being funny, but we're not. There was really no
okay.
not too much strategy,
Can,
and then yeah,
Can
not
we
too much
address being
strategy.
funny real quick? I hate to cut you off, but I went to the live finale 2 weeks ago with it was Wendell from Survivor, Eliza was there. I sat next to Becky Lee, she was wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Matt Bischoff was there from Survivor. Taylor, that one Big Brother, was there. It was a big group of people, right?
Oh, cool,
And
cool.
and I'm watching this thing, and like every time Kendra would make a face, the whole crowd would just, and they were all like 28 years old and highly intelligent, right? But the whole crowd would just lose their minds. Like it was the funniest thing ever. I'm like, guys, are you serious? This is what we're reduced to for humor on Survivor? And
Yeah.
then you just hit the nail on the head again, bringing up Sifu for comedic value. It's like
Mhm.
that's our comedic value. What? Like Sifu is like 0% entertaining to me. In fact, from a casting standpoint, I tend to watch from a casting standpoint. I don't know why, I just can't get past it. But I'm
Mhm.
thinking, okay, what did they see in him? Have you ever met a Survivor contestant and you just knew? You're like, oh, you saw right away what they saw in them. Like, have you ever met? You've met a few people who've been on Survivor, right?
Yeah, I've met a few, mostly over like Zoom, and then actually, basically all of them been over Zoom. But yeah, you can some of the winners I've met. You can kind of tell they have that like charisma,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
celebrity almost kind of. You
Yeah,
know.
like there's just an air about him, right?
Yeah,
Taylor
yeah.
from Big Brother, just this past week, I was like, okay, you could see that there was something like she had just kind of a confidence about her that was just unshakable, right? With
Mhm.
Sifu, I'm like literally like smacking myself in the face. I'm like, okay, Survivor casting will always tell you to be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Who is Sifu? Sifu he's trying to be an anime character, but that's not
Mhm.
who he is. But it's who he is, and I'm just like, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. If that's who you are, that's who you are. But I just
Yeah.
don't think that's who he is. It's like I don't
Mhm.
understand who he is and why they would have cast somebody pretending to be somebody else. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of at Russell Hance's season. The next season after that,
Mhm.
everybody tried to be the biggest villain ever. It was like they were all one upping each other to try to be that villain. And
Oh
Survivor
yeah.
casting, they saw through that a mile away because not everybody is a natural hate it villain,
Right.
person.
Yeah.
But with Sifu, I just, God, I didn't get it. I was happy to see him go home just because I wasn't a fan to begin with, but it was
Mhm.
still sad. Like the all the you could tell everybody on the tribe, none of them were happy to get rid of him or Caleb. They were all upset, and it's like,
Mhm.
how cutthroat are these people? You're playing for $1 million. I get it. You're sad, but like after being sad, they need to show each of them like, yes, because you're one step
Yeah.
closer. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I mean,
Well.
I get it that you're sad, but also show that like own that move. You know what I mean? Because
Oh.
eventually you're gonna have to get in front of the jury and be like, yeah, I did that. That was me. But
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know.
right. We really don't get that until sometimes the next episode that we see a little bit of it. But I like where in Big Brother, yes, they do the goodbyes at the door, and then as soon as that person's doing the interview with Julie, the whoever's left in the house, they start jumping around and they all like watching the person's picture go gray. So yeah,
Well,
I agree with you. I would like to see some more okay, you could be sad, but also yeah, if you're there for $1 million,
I mean
you got to be
that.
more happy than sad if you're still in the game.
So last week's episode, I think everybody stopped after at the end of it was like, yes, like we finally got our money's worth. That's what it's all about. The blind side, and the
Hmm.
this and the blah blah, and the shot in the dark working for the first time, and blah blah blah. And then after this episode, it kind of reminded me like the sadness that we all had from the first two episodes. It was like, well, two people that were relatively popular went home. Everybody was sad about it. And I think Survivor's editing attempt to like reel us back in was telling us that they're bringing the auction back. And
Yeah,
and, and it's
yeah.
like, okay, that's great and all, but like I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. Okay, so help me out here, Josh,
Yeah.
because my memory sucks. The auction is for food because they didn't say food. They just said the Survivor auction.
Yeah, so Survivor Auction, I think don't the, like in the past, usually the first two or three things they really try to tempt you with food, and then they bring out the covered thing, and that's usually
An advantage or something, right?
yeah, an advantage, or it's like something, it's like a small cup of rice, like turtle.
Oh, it'll be
You
an
just
old
know it.
boot.
Yeah. So I will be interested to see what they do with it now, because they really, in the new era of Survivor, they've really cut down on like the food and
Well,
rewards even.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's shorter seasons. I get
Shorter,
that.
yeah,
What do you remember the last time that they did a Survivor auction? I watch every episode, but I can never remember anything. And I couldn't tell
yeah.
you the last time they did it wasn't the new era. I don't think they've done a
No,
food auction since season 40 for sure.
yeah, no. Beyond that, it's been like I'm even trying to remember. It's been probably
5 years, maybe 10 seasons.
Probably at least, yeah.
At least, man, isn't that crazy when you think about it? I know that they. I was telling Robin this, the admin in your group, or
Yeah.
the page creator of your group that you're an admin in. I said, your group is literally the best like case study. I guarantee you the producers and casting directors and everybody, they get in your group because they can see what fans are saying. They need that. And that focus group, you realize how much it would cost for them to run a focus group to get the kind of information that they get just from going to your page for free and reading
Oh
your
yeah.
posts? I guarantee you, Josh, they've read your posts so many times you don't even know it. You know what I mean? And because they need that. They need that feedback.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you will consistently see is people talk about the food auction or the food things, the challenge or whatever I'm trying to say.
Right,
So
yeah.
I'm glad they listened, hopefully to you. Maybe your post was the one that they finally decided, all right, we've heard you, Josh. We're gonna bring it back.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. We got on a tangent there. What were we talking about before? We were talking about Sifu and um
Yeah, Sifu and yeah, the kind of we were getting to the casting and like Sifu's yeah, well
I lost my train of thought there.
I know, I was like I'm kind of like I'm hyped for the auction. I don't know if you
Yeah.
watch Australian Survivor.
One season I watched, I don't
Oh,
remember
okay.
what season it was, but I always forget in between. I can't watch two seasons at once. Season 30 was the last auction when they broke it. Thank you, Amanda.
Oh.
Oh, they broke it. That's why. So how are they not going to break this next one? I guess is the real
Yeah, yeah.
question. Because they wouldn't have brought it back if it's just going to get broken again. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Um, but yeah. What? Sorry, I lost my train of thought again. We were saying.
Oh yeah, so we're in Australian Survivor. After they always in the past couple the seasons I haven't seen every season, but they do the Survivor auction, and it's always like so epic, and like it's actually decent things. But their game's obviously longer, so it's things like phone calls home and like
Oh,
like and great food options. Whereas like here, I sincerely hope that it's not just like
cheeseburger.
yeah, yeah, or like an uncooked fish or Flint. Like, come on, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see, I one of the things I loved was the car thing. Now, I realized if they're giving away a car, it's probably the reason why they don't do it is probably more based on some sort of a sponsor issue. Because you
Right.
can't just give a car and not have a name on the car. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so it has to be some sort of a sponsor, I would assume. And I don't know. I assume that's why they haven't done it. But wouldn't that be cool? If the Survivor auction, there's a yeah, make it like make one of the items an immunity idol. Make one of the items a car. Can you imagine if like you saved all your money? There's two people, they save all their money,
Mhm.
and they're the very last two, and you can choose between an immunity idol and a car.
Oh man, yeah, that would be great.
That
I
would
think.
make for amazing television.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
what would you choose if you're in this neck? Now keep in mind, there's what like 10 people left. You'll be in the jury if that was your goal all along. But if
Right.
you were at that auction and it's me and you, and you've got $500 and I've got 499 or something like that. So
Yeah.
you get to choose and I'll get the leftover. Would you choose the brand new car or the immunity idol?
Okay, so I think my answer depends on have I eaten in the past 5 days.
What are you gonna eat a car? I mean, are you gonna eat an
Well,
immunity idol?
do I have the hunger brain going where like my strategies skew? But then it probably depends too on how comfortable. Which you're an idiot if you ever feel too comfortable. But
Well said.
and
Yeah.
there's the whole car curse thing going. That's still very
Yeah.
prevalent. Um, but man, it'd be hard to turn down a car. I would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But I mean, if your goal is to win the $1 million, you got to go for the idol. That's a smart strategic move. And we saw in this episode a lot of players. It feels like they're excited by jury. Which, if you're there to win, jury doesn't excite you. That's you losing.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that, and just the overall
Mhm.
niceness. The two things that the theme that I've seen with the casting, or three things, is the age. They're all 28 years old,
Right.
or all but two, I should say.
Hmm.
They're all really intelligent. These are all very intelligent people. I don't see anyone that I go, what an idiot. You know what I mean? Or somebody you
Yeah.
can walk all over necessarily.
Hmm.
And I think the other thing is just the niceness. These tribals are like, maybe I'm becoming a cynic, but like I want to see like contentious tribal councils. You know what I mean? I don't want to see
Hmm.
all this. we love each other so much and we miss each other. Maybe some episodes, not every episode has to be all angry, but like I want to see
Yeah.
like mark my words, if I'm on the show and I get blindsided or voted out, do you think I'm going to be like, thank you guys so much for the experience. That was wonderful. That was this, like Brandon Donlin, bless his heart. That was the sweetest out, and that's
Mhm.
good that we need that every once in a while too. But
Yeah.
like, I want to see somebody. Jeff is supposed to snuff your torch. I'm gonna pick up my torch. I'm gonna slam that thing in the fire, and you're not gonna get a chance to snuff my torch, Jeff. It's not happening, buddy. And that would make for great television too. But if you're gonna go
Oh
out,
yeah.
go out. You
Right.
know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's still yeah, as soon as they find out that they're out, it's been usually like all smiles and then yeah, they're like yeah.
The only thing I can relate it to is, you've got, I can't imagine when you're at those tribal councils and you've got all that animosity and that or not necessarily animosity, but just all that emotion and all those feelings, and it's like you have to do something with it. Have you ever noticed like UFC fighters and afterwards, no matter how bad they hate each other, they always shake hands and compliment the other one. It's like, what? You guys were just saying how bad you wanted to kill each other like
Oh
before the
yeah,
fight. What
yeah.
happened? And what happened was they settled it. They got settled
Mhm.
in the most humbling way possible. But I just don't. I don't know. I've noticed too that no matter how bad these grudges are, it seems like they're all always friends after the show. And I mean, I guess that's good as far as humanity goes. But like, build
Yeah.
a storyline. You know what I'm saying? Like, give us something to talk about here. Not everybody on that tribe can possibly like everybody else, but the way they act, it's like I don't know. I would love to see casting get some more people that are just instantly dislikable. Instantly, like, just Emily, they did it at first. I thought she was going to be that person, and then it turned out she ended up being like a season favorite, I would say.
Oh yeah,
You
she's
know,
kind of like yeah, she started off as the like kind of had that like robotic personality a little bit and just couldn't
she
relate to
still has
anybody.
a robotic personality,
Yeah.
but
But now she's like they're kind of framing it as like a positive story of her finally getting not friends, but like relationship building.
that's honestly why I thought Brandon Donlin was going to go so far because they were framing him so weak and they were still giving him so much
Mhm.
attention. I thought, oh, he's going to go far because it's the underdog story. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Emily's got quite a story going herself. I mean, she's been at like every tribal council, but now she doesn't have Caleb. So she's on Emily Island,
Mhm.
and the thing that's special about her though is she knows analytics. Like that's her job,
Right.
managing and crunching numbers. So she's two steps ahead of everybody else as far as managing numbers, but she's
Right.
got to get closer to the personalities before she can figure out what the numbers even are. And I think that was what Caleb really helped her with. I don't know how she's going to do without Caleb because they seem to balance each other out pretty well. I liked them as a
Right.
team.
I did too. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. She's very analytical, and Caleb obviously had the like social skills. I do think Emily, if she gets to the end, she'll be able to make a very strong like strategic case. But I'll be interesting to see like just how she appeals to the
the,
jury
the
as far as
jury
like her
who none of
relationship.
those people, yeah,
Yeah.
none of them are her original tribe mates, so you're right off the bat you've got a disadvantage because
Yeah.
let's face it, whoever else is in the final three with her, unless they do a final two or something like that,
Hmm.
they're all going to have at least half the people at this point are going to be former tribe mates basically.
Right.
So I don't know how that's going to pan out. I want to get back to the poll challenge because we started talking about it and I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
That's one of the most iconic challenges that they bring back every year. It's one of those things that Carson can't 3D print on his printer. But if you have a 10-foot pole, you can go hug that thing and train, I suppose. But I do wish they would show behind the scenes how they got up there. My guess is they were all on a ladder and then they moved them at roughly the same time. I don't know that you could get everybody at the exact same time, but
Hmm.
if you noticed the way Dee was sitting, and I'll have to go back and watch how other people have won this challenge.
Yeah.
Dee was sitting with her butt below her feet. So her butt's down here, her feet are up here, and her hands are way up there. So like the majority of her weight, she was like almost like I don't even know how to explain it, but she was kind of holding on. You could
Yeah.
tell that she wasn't going anywhere. You could tell she was winning.
Mhm.
And that challenge tends to favor people that are smaller, more petite, smaller feet because it'll fit in those cracks. And
Right.
then, if you remember earlier in the season, what were they doing with Emily? They were making fun of her toes, that real long toe, and I should have known that was foreshadowing for this moment because sure enough, that's why I won the challenge because my really long toe, and it's like I don't think that's why she won, but I
Yeah, yeah.
it was still it was a great edit on Survivor, kind
Mhm.
of a vignette or whatever they want to call that. Um, I noticed that when I was trying to figure out how they got up that pole, Drew had actually said when he was up there, can somebody's gonna have to help me come down. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that would have been the perfect when he said somebody should help me come down, that would have been the perfect like intro or outro to showing how they got up there to begin with. Because who knows, maybe wouldn't that be funny if they flew him in on a crane or something like and we were just like blown away, like that's how they got up there? Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they totally they missed a golden opportunity there. And I wish, even though I know you didn't catch it, the elapsed time thing, I
Yeah.
wish they would have ran a counter at the bottom of the screen so that we could maybe keep
Oh,
an
yeah,
eye on it
so
kind of in real time.
yeah, real time, or at least so we knew, like, because 2 people dropped pretty fast after it started, seemingly, but I
Yeah,
don't know if that was, like, 10 seconds into it or were they a minute,
exactly.
like, I like to know that kinda stuff, and then they could've I know that they changed the poll a little bit compared to, like, when, Parvati did it in the pa but, like,
Really, elaborate if you don't mind.
yeah, my girlfriend she noticed, like, m I don't know, maybe the poll was like, the divots were different or, like, I
Oh,
we would probably need to go back and, like, look, obviously, but it just seemed like maybe
wasn't there a
I think
season when
the footholds were smaller in this, like, this new era.
they got bigger and then they got smaller as you went down? I feel like.
Yeah, I
Or they
think so.
weren't cut, like, grooved into it, they were actually, like, sticking on the outside of it, and I think
Yeah.
they got smaller and smaller. Do you remember, I think it was Ozzy, he had actually climbed up the pole, like, when he would go down, he would eventually climb back up. I think it
Oh,
was
yeah,
Ozzy.
I remember that,
Um, and I thought that was pretty impressive, but
yeah. No, in this challenge, everybody that was seemingly moved down, you could just tell that they were as soon as you start moving down, it's like, "Oh, they're in trouble."
yeah, yeah, there was no getting around that. But I don't know how you train for a challenge like that, other than, you wanna get your calluses on the side of your feet nice and strong, but aside from that, I would still think a small petite person it would favor because ultimately, if you're a heavier person, you're putting all that weight on such a small area of your foot. I Even though Sifu's a bigger guy, the
Mhm.
fact that he was a Tai Chi martial artist or something, I
Right.
actually thought he had a good chance at winning that. Just it seemed more like in his wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
but I don't know. I guess his luck would have it. I don't know if he was the first one out, but he definitely wasn't one of the last ones. Kelly, who's very petite, she was, and
Mhm.
then D, I think she's pretty petite. It's kind of hard to tell from TV, but then they go to the food or the sanctuary. Did they always call it the sanctuary, or did they call it something else in the past? I don't remember that name.
Honestly, they probably did what they called it, like, the Survivor Sanctuary or, like,
I,
they had a different name.
when it was sponsored by like Applebee's or something. What did they call it then?
Yeah, get that yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. Cause like, it
I keep wanting to say Ponderosa, but Ponderosa is where they all go after they leave,
yeah,
right?
after, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
the thing that drove me nuts about that is yet again they didn't show anybody looking for an advantage or an idol
mhm.
in that shelter sanctuary area, and I'm thinking, how many times in a row are they going to show that where nobody's playing the game? I feel like, you know what I mean? Because let's
Right.
face it, who was there? Who was on the bottom? Was it Katura? Felt like she was on the bottom there at the reward. I can't even remember now. But somebody should have been, digging around in the milk or or looking under the
Oh,
pizza or something like.
yeah, we barely in fact, yeah, glad you said that because we barely even got to see that, like, what the tacos even I was interested to see, like, what this looks like now that they're not sponsored by Applebee's or anything.
That's funny you said it was tacos because they did say tacos and I thought I saw pizza. I
Yeah,
don't I don't even
yeah.
remember seeing tacos.
It was like a weird shell. Yeah, it looked like a pizza crust, but then yeah, you're right. Like we didn't see anybody like stick their whole finger in the thing tomato maybe and like digging around and like I wonder if they even had something hidden there. Like it would be kind of cool if they did, and then if we as the audience got like the producers could put something up on the screen that says like, "Oh, we have a hidden immunity idol here. Let's
and they
see
just
if."
missed it.
Yeah.
Have you noticed when they're walking through the woods, they'll highlight like the idol so we can see that they clearly walked by it. It's
Oh,
visually easier
yeah.
to see. They should have if there was one there somewhere, they should have like zoomed in, highlighted it, and then zoomed out so we all know, oh, there is somebody find it.
Mhm.
And it would have gotten us all excited and then bummed. But my
Yeah.
guess is there was nothing there. But
Right.
do you remember? I think it was earlier this season. Was it Brando had an advantage and they didn't even talk about it on the show?
Oh, yeah, he had it, and then what, didn't the producers take it away from him
Because
before?
he didn't use it or it expired or something like that. But we
Yeah.
found as the viewers, we didn't find that out watching Survivor. We found that out digging around on the internet from
Yeah,
some
yeah.
article after the show. So my
Mhm.
point is the fact that we now know that they do that to us. They put advantages in the game that they don't necessarily tell us about if they don't fit into the story or whatever. They
Right.
could very well have 10 immunity idols at these sanctuary food things and not even tell us about it. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's a good point.
I don't know. But that drove me nuts though. It's like they don't really show anybody looking for idols either. It's like are they all spoken for? When one's used, usually it
Mhm.
goes back into the game, but like and I have a hard time like Bruce found the one on Lulu's beach, right?
Yeah.
But like how do we know who found the one on Bello and Reba? I don't recall because they don't really explain that real well. Um
Right.
and when Bruce found his, did another one come in? I don't know. Um Amanda said, in the coming attractions that showed Jake finding an advantage. Did they? I don't remember seeing that. Amanda, can you be more specific in the comments on that? Um, Josh, are you able to see when people write messages on here?
Yes, yeah.
I was trying to read that as fast as I could. What was the advantage that Jake found in the upcoming episode? I assume that's what you're referring to, Amanda. Do you remember that, Josh?
I watched it and then I'm like, "Oh, I gotta get on this live." I was like
You
doing
didn't have
like
time to process.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a scroll in that tree. What? When did they show Jake finding a scroll in the tree? How did I miss that?
It probably I wonder if they showed it to us and then, like, we were so in awe of the auction that, like, everything you know?
All I saw in the preview for the next episode was the Girl Alliance and then the
Mhm.
Survivor auction back. I didn't see anything about a scroll in a tree. Amanda, if you're messing with me right now, you win, okay? You win the $1 million prize because you've just duped Josh and I because we watched it and I don't remember seeing that. Is that Amanda? Can you clarify in the comments if she said, "Oh, Sifu made a fake idol but never did anything with it"?
Oh, interesting.
That's right. They did show that he was making that. So what? Did
Honestly,
he
that's
go
just
home with
more
it?
like that's like more seafood kind of silliness without really any follow through, kind of.
Again, no substance to him
Yeah,
and his
yeah.
character. And I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, if you're gonna show a fake idol, at least give us a conclusion on it. Like what happened to it? I
Right,
mean,
what
I
happened to it? Yeah.
I forgot. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I guarantee you in his exit interview, he could have said, I could have played my fake idol or something. And we could have been like, oh, I forgot he had the fake idol. Like
Mhm.
that would have been entertaining if they would have shown that.
Well, and, we only see like, such a brief edit of Tribal. I kind of wish, when this like, specifically, when Bruce was speaking, we would see a few of his tribe mates, like, rolling their eyes, and I wish that, like, that would be acknowledged. Like, does Bruce notice that when that's happening, and then, like, do they have a confrontation, or if, like, or did they happen to roll their eyes earlier, and then they're just putting it in front of this other moment, and then it, like, kind of piecing it together that way?
Well, the power of editing, they can make
Yeah.
anything look like anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, but God, I don't know.
But
I
like
w-
you said, the cast, like, they're all kind of too not like, they're not that confrontational. And some of the personalities that would almost feel kind of forced or, like, fake-ish
yeah,
if all of
yeah.
a sudden they turn into a hothead, kind of.
So confrontational is the word I'm looking for. You don't have to be a villain, but like
Yeah.
I do want to see people be more confrontational. The closest thing I feel like we get to that is like Emily and Katura. They seem to be pretty well. Actually, was pretty confrontational with Katura, but he
Yeah.
and he knew what he was doing,
Mhm.
and Katura called him out on it. But it wasn't like It just
Yeah,
didn't
it's
have the
like
same like punch to it that, like in the beginning of the game when Emily called out Bruce, for being a former player or whatever, right in front of everyone on every tribe before anybody went home.
right.
That was confrontational. That was good,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, we all thought it was really dumb at the time, and it seems like they've squashed that beef,
Mhm.
but they're gonna have to squash that beef because they need her as a number. I mean, they don't need her as a number. Well, no, I take that back because if you've got five Bello, if they manage to stick together, which they have so far,
Yeah.
and Emily now joins Reba, you've got 5 on 5. Did you think it was interesting tonight when they went to that like vignette? I don't know what the terminology is. When they were trying to describe to us forcing a vote. So three would vote for three, three would vote for three. They're going to force a vote. And then on the
Oh,
revote, they did like this kind of silhouette thing. And I was like, oh, well, why would they do that if it doesn't actually play out that way? And
well,
sure
that
enough,
was
it didn't play out that way.
yeah, that was kind of interesting too because they talked through that strategy, and then they fast forward, producers showed us tribal council
Yes.
early.
Yes.
Yeah, and then in the moment, my girlfriend actually she thought like if they're just showing us tribal now, like if that happens, then why are we watching all of this? And like, why are they showing this? And of course, it didn't end up happening, which is like kind of a weird editing
Super weird. Like,
thing.
why
Yeah,
even why even show it? Because I'll be
right.
honest, every single tribal council they could make that exact same argument where, well, okay, if
Mhm.
these four and these four, and then they have to revote, but they've never done that for other ones where there has been a revote. So to
Right.
foreshadow something that ended up not happening, it just felt awkward. I felt let down because I was like, oh wow,
Mhm.
we didn't know the end result, but we
Right.
knew it was gonna happen, and then it turns out we didn't know, or
Well,
we didn't get.
yeah, it was a weird editing choice, and it kind of like it made me what made really made me think it was gonna happen is like we were talking about idols earlier.
Yeah.
Usually, it's been in this, at least in this season, when the cameramen are following somebody searching for an idol, it's always that they then find it. We never see like an unsuccessful, or we're not really being shown them searching for idols unsuccessfully. Anytime they're followed, it seems like oh they just found it. And
Yeah.
so when they showed this, I'm like, okay, they're just going to keep up with the same theme. This is definitely happening now because they just foreshadowed it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so somehow my roommate is locked out. Let me go let
Oh
him
yeah,
in real quick. Unless Kevin, are you still out there? Yeah, hold on a second. I don't know
yeah,
what.
yeah. No worries.
Good God. Um, hey, in the meantime, while I'm walking away, shout out to your girlfriend for letting you have some free time to get on here and do this with me because uh, I know time is valuable, and I appreciate that. So shout out to Josh's girlfriend for letting him come on here and do this because I'm sure she's probably like, come on, let's watch Amazing Race, right?
Oh yeah, Amazing Ray. Oh yeah, super good this season.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it in quite a few seasons actually. I is do you know if the same guy that's casting Survivor, the Jesse guy, is he also doing Amazing Race?
You know what? I always like I at the end credits. I always try to look and see, but I feel like maybe not, just because. Which I hate to say it, but I think casting for Amazing Race sometimes has been better than Survivor in the new
Oh,
like
really?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you, casting has taken a beating this season. That's for sure with the
Mhm.
quits and all that. But if any of that was intentional, I think it'll work out to their advantage ultimately. I don't think it was intentional, but if any of
Mhm.
the quits were kind of like they knew they were going to cast Hannah Rose because she's a smoker and she's more likely to quit or something like that. If any of
Yeah.
that was intentional, it was brilliant because it got. I mean, look on your page.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
everybody was. I'm telling you, more people are going to apply for Survivor after watching this season than probably any in recent memory just based on the fact that the bar was so low. I've had so many people tell me, and I've read so many people say, "Oh, I've never applied before. I'm gonna apply this year because all I have to do is just not be a quitter." It's like really, like they've lowered the bar so low that I think that was a genius move on casting's behalf because it got people talking, it got
Right.
people angry. It was kind of like it reminds me of like if you're stuck in traffic on a highway and you finally pass the wreck and you slowed even though you've been waiting and you're dying to get past the wreck, you still slow
Mhm.
down to look at it kind of thing.
Right,
That's
right.
what people are doing with these quitters on Survivor. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
well now I got to see next episode, and then sure enough, somebody talks about quitting. I think we had
Oh,
three episodes in
yeah.
a row where it was just like quit, 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 and it just
Mhm.
and you need that. And you know, out of 600, almost 700 players on Survivor, you do need people that quit. Like I'm totally fine with that. It's I don't think any
Mhm.
of those people necessarily took my spot or your spot on the show, but um, I don't know. I felt vindicated a little bit when all these people would quit, and then my inbox is blowing up with people like, "Oh, at least you wouldn't quit." Or it's like, yeah, I know, but
Well, I wonder too how many people now are gonna mention in their audition videos, "I'm not a quitter," like
you
yeah.
Josh, you just hit the nail on the head. It's just like I said after the Russell Hand season, everybody wanted to be a villain, and they would talk about how they're going to be the next villain, blah blah blah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed. The casting directors, they're going to be seeing an influx of videos saying, "I won't
Mhm.
quit under any circumstances. I'm not a quitter. I'll never quit." It's like, okay, like
Oh,
I
yeah.
would cast the person truthfully that says, "I am a quitter. I'll probably go home first, and I don't
Yeah,
care," because
yeah.
that would make for good TV. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It gets people talking. You can't just have. That's the thing. Good casting is diverse because Survivor is a social experiment. But when
Right.
you put all 28-year-old smart, dare I say, nerdy type of people on there, it's just
Mhm.
it's just boring. They're doing a good job with casting different looking people. I mean, let's face
Yeah.
it, we've got people from all over the world, all different ethnicities and religions on here. That's great,
Right.
but they're the same personality type. They're not. They
Yeah, yeah.
look different, but it's the same personality. Whereas before,
Mhm.
everybody like looked the same, but they had very different personalities. So
Right.
the casting's got a ways to go while they fine tune it. But I don't know. I always thought I would end up losing my first season, winning the second season, and casting in the third season. That's how I've always planned out my delusional Survivor journey.
Yeah, yeah.
But how many times have you applied?
You know what? I've never actually applied to be on Survivor, but
I lockjaw.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, you're kidding me. Why?
Yeah.
What's the rationale behind that?
Honestly, the rationale is probably just I don't know how well I would do on the show. Like, watching from my couch, it's so easy to play the couch quarterback and be like, "Oh, why are they doing this? Oh, it's so obvious." Yada yada. But if I feel like I would go within like the first five, and then it would just be so embarrassing. I mean, you get some clout for being on the show, but if you don't make it like far or win, then it's like, oh god, would you even put it on your resume if you went on Survivor and you're the first boot or the second, but you got
Well,
blindsided?
I don't know. I mean, I've done a bunch of reality shows myself, and I've the
Mhm.
one I did 10 years ago. If you ask Siri or Google who's the world's cheapest man, I pop up, and so
You know
I'm
what?
never going to live that
Yeah.
down. Even though I'm not even the world's cheapest man, it was. But that according to the internet, I am. So I guess
Right.
the point is there was a girl from Cincinnati right after I walked across the country the first time, and Marissa was her name. She was in a FedEx Kinko's Survivor founder. They said, hey, you should be. Lynn founder said, hey, you're beautiful. I'd love to have you on the show. And Marissa did the smartest thing anybody could ever do to Lynn Spillman, and she said she didn't want to. She wasn't interested. And so
Mhm.
that made Lynn want her even more, just like,
Right.
if you get denied by a girl, it's like, maybe you want them more, the pursuit is on. But
Mhm.
she ended up getting voted off first on her season. And I'm just screaming at my TV. I'm like, you mean to tell me I would have given anything to get voted off first. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, look, fate is fate. You know what I mean? And if you get
Right.
voted off first, Josh, it is what it is. But I would still want you to have that experience. You know what I mean? Just like Brandon. Brandon,
Oh, yeah.
he's as smart as they come when it comes to the game. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I don't think he was able to meet the moment because it was because he knew how big that moment was, and that worked against him, unfortunately. Because he said, I apologize to him because he said that I said, man, you were an alternate. You knew you were gonna be on the show. Why didn't you train? And he's like, Greg, I did train, and I was like, oh, I owe you an apology then because
Mhm.
your training or my training could be very different, but the fact that you did is worth something,
Right.
and I don't know. Josh, I think you'd be fine. I really do. We all have like something that works for or against us, but you just like you have a 1 in 16 chance of winning the game, you also have that same chance of going home first. You know what I mean?
True.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
odds are you would land somewhere in the middle, unless you're just really manipulative or I don't think they do this anymore, but I think Survivor used to stack the seasons so they would identify someone. I hate to keep bringing up his name, but they would identify someone like a Russell Hantz that
Mhm.
clearly is a dominant personality, very convincing, can sell salt to a slug, and then cast around him a bunch of I don't know, patsies or something, like people that
Yeah,
just
yeah, to
follow,
like
go with the flow, don't
mhm,
really care that they're on the show. It means nothing to them. Maybe they're
right.
well off, so the money doesn't matter. And
Mhm.
and so I think it makes for an, a, an easier storyline and an easier win ultimately. But I don't think they really do that anymore. I think they're just they're stuck in this everybody's 28 years old and smart bubble. And they did it because, I mean, let's face it, they had to change the diversity standards, and it just kind of coincided with this. I really think that's what's happened. But
Seemingly, like they go this, ebbs and flows, but they go very heavy in casting from California, Florida,
yes,
like
yeah. Well,
New
that
York.
was when they were recruiting. Supposedly they don't recruit anymore, which I don't know. I don't Do you buy that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about like I feel like they definitely do for Big Brother,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know. Survivor kind of feels like they kind of got away from it,
Yeah.
but some of these other shows, it kind of still probably feels like they do a little bit, or at least like ask.
Yeah. What do you think the future holds? Because let's face it, we are in season 45, right?
Hmm.
We think that they'll do a season 50 just because of the number 50. It seems like it has a lot of significance, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Probst has been upgraded to producer on the show many years ago to keep him around.
Hmm.
How does this thing end? What's your opinion on that?
So I definitely feel like Fiji is here to stay. Kind of, everything about the
It's
future.
home.
It's
Yeah.
home. Yeah, it's home base. As much as like I wish they would, I loved when they would go to different locations and then we would learn a little, at least a little bit about the culture and like,
Yeah.
uh, and even though they're in Fiji, we really never see the Fijians. We
Yeah.
don't even really see the land like too much.
We don't see
Um,
loved ones either. There's a lot of things we don't see anymore.
yeah, yeah. um, 26 days is probably here to stay too,
I've read that. Yeah.
which I don't know, I'm kind of a more of a fan of 39 days, just like a it's harder. Like I like the longer season, and I feel like you're really earning the million then. Whereas 26, like that 26 days. That's why some of these quits that we were talking about earlier were harder to swallow because like if you're already on day 13, you're halfway through it. Like
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like 50. I don't necessarily. I'm not going to say the show ends when Probst leaves, but they have to find the right personality, like the right fit. And I don't necessarily think that they have that person yet.
Yeah. I was
Not that
talking
I
to
know
Robin
who.
about that actually. Who do you think would be a good fit?
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't know if a former player would be a good fit. Like they do with like Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Um, But then, even the most beloved like Survivor icon, you still have half that you'll have half the group that hates him and half that like love him or
Yeah.
her.
Speaking of which, we'll
Um,
never have another icon or legend on Survivor until they start bringing people back. There's no way
right.
you can play one season and be a legend, you know?
Yeah, unless yeah, it's harder in 26 days to really yeah. So yeah, I'm not even sure I'm not sure who the right person would be, but I hope 50 is like a huge season. Like they I want to see a new school returnee season, but then I would actually be interested in I know they're getting older now, but some of the old school players to see them play the new school game, I think would be interesting. And
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean like winners from season 2, season 3, but to see
Yeah.
some of the players who did well but maybe didn't win, give them another chance.
Do you think they could get 50 winners to come back for season fit for or 50, 19, 18 winners to come back for season 50?
Mm, I mean,
Since they
money.
already did it for 40, but I thought 40 was a
Yeah.
great season though.
Oh yeah, 40 was like yeah, 40 was epic, which was
Yeah.
needed after 39.
Yeah.
Um, I think money always talks. I think if they, if they're saving that much money staying in Fiji every year, they could get them back if they really want them.
I would love to know what they paid people for for season 40, just the base pay. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure some of those people, once you start making that money, you're not going to go out there for nothing. You know what I mean? And
Right. Yeah.
and,
Once
and s-
you're yeah, once you're
yeah,
an
same
icon.
same with like celebrities too. Some of those celebrities, it's like it's either you've done everything in life and you would do it for free because you're just a fan of the show, or I mean,
Mhm.
let's face it, if you take a celebrity away from um their normal life, they still have bills to pay. You know what I mean? Just like we do. Their
Right.
bills just
Yeah.
happen to be bigger and weirder. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but I've noticed that when they put celebrities on the show, it doesn't really seem to add ratings. Have you noticed that? It's not
Yeah.
like now that might be slightly different with influencers, but
Mhm.
I don't know how many. I mean, let's face it, influencers. If a lot of what they do is for attention anyway, this would be
Right.
a pretty good platform for them and something different. You know,
Yeah.
just like the WWE wrestlers. We used to see one of them on just about every other season, and why else would they do it? They've got a decent amount of money. It's just the
Yeah.
attention, I think, and
Mhm.
but I don't think it really adds value to us, the viewer. I don't really think that we're really. Well, I shouldn't say us, the viewer. I just think viewership in general. I don't think that increases.
Now, because
Um,
I kind of feel like the level of celebrity it would go on one of the like if you're I don't know, if you're like an A-list
the Rock is
multi
probably not gonna
yeah,
sacrifice 30 days of his life unless he's a really big fan. You know,
right. Yeah, unless you're a diehard fan. I like if Sia would play,
I knew you were gonna
I would
say
be
that.
all for it.
Yeah,
But
but even Sia, I mean, how big of a star is she? You know what I mean? With
yeah,
all due
yeah.
respect,
Mhm.
is she a draw? You know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing her on the show, but I don't know that she's gonna bring in a new. How are they gonna get
Yeah.
this next group of. I miss when they would do themes to a degree. I
Yeah,
hated
yeah.
fans versus favorites because it was never fans. It was always like people that I
Mhm.
don't know how they call themselves fans.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I loved, and I know this is like controversial, but like Becky Lee and Billy Garcia's season, when they did,
Mhm.
I think it was Asian versus Caucasian versus African American, those tribes. I mean, let's be honest. That's um what's the word I'm looking for? That would not meet today's like standards or whatever. But Survivor's a social experiment. That's about as big of a social experiment as you're ever going to get when you're pitting races against each other. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so that would never fly again. But that was interesting to
Mhm.
me. Stuff like that. I
Yeah, I think with themes, they just need to make sure that the theme works before they have a season to it. Because I said 39 earlier. I liked Island of the Idols. It drew me back in. Like, oh, Sandra and Boston Rob are back. Like, yeah, I, I'm all for that. But
yeah
then the winner ended up being the only one that didn't go to the Island of the Idols. Like, what? How's that? That shouldn't even be a thing. And I
yeah
don't even know how helpful the advice from the legends was. If
yeah.
yeah,
It was more gimmicky than anything.
hmm
Um,
so
But
yeah,
I did like those iconic shots of them kind of spying on everybody, but they should
oh
have let
yeah,
them like hit them with a water balloon every once in a while or something like that. They could have been more involved. I just think
hmm
that where Jeff Probst is, God forbid if he retires or something like that, the
hmm
show is still cheap enough to produce and the ratings are still good enough and it's still an iconic enough show
right,
that they will for sure try to find someone to replace him.
yeah,
My guess is it might be like the guy from Australia or something like that, somebody that's already kind of in the the fan base or whatever. But
hmm
I guarantee you, behind the scenes, there's so many people in production that do exactly what Jeff does. They just aren't well known. There's probably one of those. My
right,
guess
yeah.
is it would probably be a man. I have a hard time envisioning a female. I know that sounds sexist, but I'm just trying to. It's hard to see if someone I just have a hard time seeing that. Not that I'm against it or anything like that. I don't
It
see it being a female.
it would be
Um,
interesting to if if Jeff gave notice that like, oh, this is my last season. I'm gonna have you could have guest hosts like host a challenge
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like they could try that out and just try. It could be past winners. It could be produce. It could, just try out a bunch of different people and just see.
You
Sometimes you don't know until you try. So I would be all for that.
You
Like,
know, Josh, I think you're onto something with that. I actually never considered that in the past, but you're absolutely right because, first of all, let's say it's somebody you just don't like. Well, guess what? Then you've got another chance at it, and it gives
right,
you not only do you tune in to the social experiment, but it gives you a new reason to tune in to see who the host is. And
right.
some people are inevitably going to like them. Some
Hmm.
people won't, but I think that could be. But the real thing I think that happens if if quits in this show, rather than taking it under if the ratings are so bad, I think they would put it on the Peacock channel,
Oh yeah, the
their
like the
pay subscription, like, or
streaming.
just
Yeah.
release the whole thing on Netflix or Hulu. You know what I mean? Just the whole
Mhm.
season, just put it out there, and you know, I think if they do that though, the production will have gone way down, like
Oh yeah,
a f-
like yeah. Usually, I feel like this isn't always the case, but when it goes from CBS to that, like you said, Peacock or
or
whatever,
not Peacock, I meant, but
Peac-
whatever their
Par- Paramount Plus.
Paramount.
Yeah,
Thank
that's what
you.
it is.
That's what I
When
meant
it
to say.
when it goes to that, it feels like and it's like a life support option. Like, do you remember Love Boat from last? Was it 2 seasons ago or
I didn't
something?
see it. No.
They like the only reason I saw it is because they sandwiched it in between you had Survivor, Love Boat, and then Amazing Race after. I'm like, oh god, okay, I'll watch an episode to see what this is because I thought it was going to be like a reality competition on a cruise ship, which I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that could be cool. And then it turned into a weird like dating show. But they obviously was not successful. After 2 episodes, they moved it to Paramount Plus, and then it just seemingly like disappeared. I'm pretty sure they canceled it.
Yeah.
Which,
There there
yeah.
was one show that got me. It ended up being I think a Geico insurance commercial, but they were trying to make it look they were making it sound like 13 people stuck inside a house, 5 days or something like that, right? They were like
Oh
hyping it
yeah.
up, and they showed the house, and the house only had like 4 or 5 foot high ceilings, so everybody had to like duck down when they were walking through it.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, that sounds amazing. I can't wait to see who's going to be able to survive in this house with 5 foot ceilings." And then
Oh
they're
yeah.
like, buy Geico commercial or insurance or something. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, Greg, you idiot. I don't know. I fell for that one for sure.
Mhm.
Well, Josh, I want to see you. I want to see you on the show, man. I want to see you put in an application, and you don't have to share the application with the world or anything like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
you for sure should apply. I have not gotten from talking to you now. I have not gotten one inkling of a reason not to do it. If I'm you, I heck yeah, you got. I look now. This is a bad example because you got a girlfriend, but I look at like shows a lot like dating and stuff like that. Like, you might strike out 99 times, but all it takes is that one time to make something special happen. And if you're going
True.
fishing, how you ever going to catch something if you don't have your line in the water? You know what I'm saying? Like, how
That's
you going to get
true.
on the show? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's something to be said about being content and being a fan. I would much
Mhm.
rather be content because it
Right.
haunts me. I hate.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have such a love hate relationship with Survivor. I really do. I just want closure at this point. But so I kind of envy you actually that you don't have like that
Yeah, yeah.
need. Because for me, it's like you either get on the show or the show gets canceled. It's like, well, I need some black and white in there. You know what I mean? I would
Right.
love to. I think what I'm gonna do. So I could use your advice on this and some ideas, but I'm the kind of person that I'd rather fail miserably than to do nothing, and I'm really good at failing. I have failed more than anybody I've ever met, but I've also had a lot of success with that.
Right.
So my thing was I need 5 minutes of Jeff Probst's time. That's always been my thing, and
Right.
I cannot believe that I've been able to meet what 3 U.S. presidents easier than Jeff Probst. Like, why is he
Right.
so hard to get a hold of? I don't understand
Yeah.
it. So obviously the walks have not worked out very well. Almost killed me the last one. But in January, that's my birthday month. I thought about just walking around CBS Studios down in not the one on Radford. They sold that building, so now they all work out of the one in I can't think of whatever wherever that CBS Studios is. I
Mhm.
thought, you know what? I'll take my little stupid sign from when I had this past January that says for my 40th birthday, I want to meet Jeff Probst, and just walk around the building for a straight month. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
would think
yeah.
after a month they would just be like, bro, go take a picture with this guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I've just always been convinced that if I had 5 minutes of his time, I'd be able to convince
Mhm.
him what I need to. But if he's not interested, then he needs to like absolutely like I need to feel like it's a funeral. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
cannot because otherwise, if he I've prayed that he would look me in my dumb face and tell me he would never put me on the show because like
Mhm.
the problem is I wouldn't if he said no I wouldn't believe him. I'd be like, oh yeah, right, because I'm such an eternal optimist somehow.
Yeah.
But if you've got any better ideas, that's as of right now, that's my plan. In January, I just want to walk around CBS with my little stupid sign, just saying for my 40th birthday, I want to meet. Even though it won't be my 40th birthday, by then it'll be my 41st. But my sign still says 40. So
Right.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I don't know what else to do. No offense to casting. I hate to say that I feel above it, but like
mhm.
I kind of do. I know that's arrogant, but I'm sorry if there's anybody that needs to skip the line. Like I don't know. I mean, if they reached out to me, I wouldn't ignore them, but
Right.
I want to go straight to the top. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
sometimes in
yeah.
life, you don't go to your manager, you go right to the owner, or
Right, yeah.
whatever I'm trying to say.
I
But
mean, yeah, they obviously, like, it takes something bold like that, I think. Like, if I'm I'm trying to think of a better idea other than, like, you remember last season when Jeff flashed that, like, email address of, like, "Oh, if you have survivor complaints, you can reach me here," and it was, like, something at
yes,
was it,
I
like, a
do remember
Gmail
that.
account? Yeah.
Yeah,
I would just
what ended up happening with that?
I honestly am not sure, and I've never emailed it, but I would honestly just spam the hell out of it and,
I did email that actually. I remember that. God, that's
like
funny you said that because I forgot.
like in, Shawshank Redemption when he's sending a letter every day to the state to get books for the library. Just I would send an email every day, then switch to two emails, and then three. And just like all of a sudden, the whole inbox will be, "Who's this gray guy? Like what? Why is it?"
Yeah. That's funny. A fun fact about Shawshank Redemption, filmed right here in Ohio. I went to the prison actually where it was filmed. The grandpa in that movie was Maddie Whitmore's grandpa. Maddie Whitmore was on like Survivor, I don't know, 10 or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was like the fitness instructor. He actually teaches hot yoga out in I think Malibu.
Oh wow.
And when I met Lynn, she actually said to me that she was like, I think you're a Maddie Whitmore. Who do you think you would be on the show? Who would they peg you as? Because they kind of some of us
Mhm.
have similar personalities to others. Blah blah blah. Who do you think they would peg you as?
Oh man. Yeah, that's a good question. That's kind of like an ego question because I don't think, depending on challenge, like there's how I would want to be viewed, and then like how I would actually how would they view me? Because don't you feel like everybody probably goes into it thinking that they're going to be America's favorite player, like Sia's
Of
favorite
course,
player,
yeah,
and then they have no self awareness, so then it's like, oh, this person stinks, like, and they're
that's
gonna
funny.
watch this and like see the reaction of, oh, why does everyone hate me? Um, so yeah, I'm honestly not sure on my answer. Like I would hope to be just at least like a respectable comparison, and not like we brought up Russell Hand, or like,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. You're definitely not Russell. I promise.
no,
You're a decent human being.
and
Uh,
like people, I think people make mistakes sometimes in casting, like they compare themselves to a player, and it's like, we had them. We want you. We want another,
yeah.
person. So
Yeah, I've
yeah, hope.
always felt like I've never identified with any of these people, so it was interesting for her to
Mhm.
tell me that I was a Maddie, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah, that is
"Maddie, really?"
interesting.
I think she was basing that on like I teach Zumba, he's a fitness instructor.
Mhm.
We're both kind of like just I think maybe she thought our personalities lined up more, but I don't know.
Right.
Like obviously I'm not a Richard Hatch. I'm not
Yeah.
Jackson from the last season. I'm not I don't know, these are bad examples.
Yeah, you're not
Uh,
like
I'm not
Gable.
Emily,
Yeah.
I'm not Bruce, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm also how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 28, so like
So
I'm
you're
right.
the same age as this entire cast. You're
Yeah.
killing me, man. And let me guess, you consider yourself to have a higher than average IQ, is that fair?
Well, I guess who does like who wants to
You
admit
are literally perfect for Survivor. There's like 9 of you on this season.
that?
Good God. When I asked you that question, you should have been like, "Yeah, literally this whole season is me, Greg. Like these are all me." It's like I'm looking in a mirror 9 times. Because yeah,
Uh,
they're all 28 and really smart, and
yeah.
how are you how do you think you do on challenges? Are you athletic, or could you train enough to get into the shape to be competitive, or where do you think you'd stay with that?
I think the like athletic ones I could like if I know I'm gonna get on the show, then I would just go crazy working out and but I wouldn't be like 3D printing that, and I'm terrible at puzzles.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like slide puzzles, I'm out. Just like I would be on the sit out bench, and I'd be the one searching underneath the sit out bench while they're doing the puzzles. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I
I
think
I yeah.
I know the game enough to where like I could probably decently and like yeah, just like navigating personalities, which is honestly the most important part in the like early stages of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not too like bossy, which if you're bossy, usually you go out sooner than later. Although
Yeah.
Bruce seems to be hanging around, but
You
again,
know, it seems like they've all got the right idea. All these 28-year-olds, they want to keep him around as a shield, and
right?
I think that's a good. I mean, if they can tolerate him, why not? He's
Yeah, yeah.
dispensable. Um, there was something I was going to say about that. What were you saying right before? I lost my train of thought. Daggone it! Right before we were talking about Bruce and um, oh
Mhm.
man, I totally lost my train of thought. Daggone it! Something you'd be good at on the show. No,
Oh,
was it
yeah, not
puzzles?
not not puzzles. Like the
Oh.
athletic stuff, I would just try. Like it drives me crazy when people like come to Survivor and they don't know how to swim. Like, and I'm not like I know how to swim. I wouldn't say I'm like the greatest swimmer, but I would start swimming more like the why. And like I feel like with adequate time, which I don't know how much notice they once you know you're casted. I wonder how long the waiting period is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would take like full advantage.
Yeah, for sure, especially on the swimming end of it, for sure. You could train for puzzles and stuff like that. You just gotta, I guess, just practice. I guess it's probably like anything else in the world.
Yeah,
Um,
I wonder too. Like if you found out you're gonna be on Survivor, like I'm sure there's like rules, but what if someone just started like juicing up, just like I'm gonna be the physical, just like
I mean, I mean, you saw
yeah.
Jackson, the guy that was originally female and transitioned to male. He
Oh
got
right.
kicked off the show for using lithium, or he didn't disclose that he was on
Oh, did
lithium.
disposal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that dehydrates you, and so they were worried about his health. So
Right.
they must test for something. I mean, I don't know. It's not a sanctioned fight, so I don't
Yeah.
know if they're gonna, you can't have HGH, or you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but that's funny you brought that
Mhm.
up. So I was talking to Brandon Donlin, who got voted off second on the season again,
Yeah.
and I said, look, man, I said you were really popular this season. I see the reason why they cast him. I don't think it's because he's a super fan, even though he is a super fan. I
Mhm.
think it was more his personality is a little bit neurotic, like it's just and I don't
Yeah.
mean that in a bad way. It's just kind of his personality, right? And
Mhm.
I said, everybody on Survivor loves a redemption story, right? I
Right.
said, you are absolutely like he is like prime like roast beef when it comes to a redemption story because
Mhm.
they all they did was show how poorly he performed. They could not have made him look more weak, right? So
Right.
what's the opposite of weak? Strength, right?
Mhm.
So I told him, I said, what you need, if I'm you, or start right now, because it's going to take a couple years. These things don't happen overnight. Start training for an MMA fight. Start training as a bodybuilder. Start training so that you can show them, look, I was the weakest person in Survivor history. Now look at me. You know what I mean? How
Oh
could they
yeah.
not bring him back if he had a story like that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Because he just, I think he has one of the most optimal um bring back stories, I guess you could ever say, because why else would you bring somebody back if they were weak, now they're strong? Like
Right.
what more could you do than that, because that's
Mhm.
something you can physically see. If you say like, oh, I got voted off Survivor because I quit, and then they bring Hannah Rose back, oh, now you're not a quitter, like you can't physically see that, you would have to
Yeah.
show that. But
Mhm.
physically, if you were viewed as weak and you could show a
Right.
before and after, and clearly now you look like Jonathan. Can you imagine if Brandon looked like, you know, took a few years
Yeah.
and looked like that? How
Yeah.
could you not root for that guy? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
What that would just make for an incredible story.
Oh, for
But
sure.
I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Yep.
Well, it's getting late here, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
your time. And again, tell your girlfriend I said thanks for giving us this hour and a half with you because time is
Yeah,
the most
absolutely.
valuable thing we have in life.
Yes.
I hope to see you on the show, and I want you to apply, man.
Alright, yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how I can convince you to, but please apply. I think that would. I mean, that would be a pretty cool story in itself. You know, you go from an admin on Facebook to being in the real game. I mean,
Oh,
that's kind of
yeah,
a cool
yeah.
story, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, so anything you want to leave me with here? Anything you want to promote or plug or any thoughts or ideas?
No, honestly just I wanna say thank you for having me on, like, I know it took a while and, like, this was so much fun, and I wanna have you on, let's do, like, a Facebook Live and, my group, have you on
Yeah.
and
Oh,
yeah.
I meant to ask Robin. Can we go live in your group, or does it have to be outside the group and then share it into the group?
No, we can go I can go live in the group, and then I just, invite you to join
Oh,
me.
that would be
But,
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, it's like another weird thing like this, it doesn't work on desktop, you have to be on, a mobile thing, but
Gotcha.
it works pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you've certainly got an audience for it. I mean, my gosh, every time you post something, I get a notification and it's at the very top of the list because
Yeah.
I remember one time you posted something like oh, it was like one sentence, like Katura farted, and it had like 300 likes. I'm like,
Yeah.
what kind of celebrity voodoo crap is Josh doing in this group? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, are these bots? Like, how is he doing this? But
Right.
you have such an
Uh,
awesome
uh,
people love you on that site, man, and they respect you too, which on the internet, let me tell you, is not easy because
right.
people it's so easy to, to hide behind your screen and,
Oh,
act
yeah.
tough and, whatever, but people they're very kind to you. You have a great loyal following, and I think it's for one reason and one reason only. It's you're sincere. You're a very sincere person. People know that when you post something in your Facebook group, it's you care. You're not doing it for likes, attention, money or anything like that. You're doing it because
Right.
for your love of Survivor, which is the reason you need to apply to be on the
Yeah.
show. Josh, I'm going to lose the first season I play. I'm going to win the second season, and then the third season, guess who I'm casting?
All right.
I'm casting
Sounds
you,
great.
Josh. So this is all being recorded. One day we're gonna
All
look
right.
back on this and go, "What in the heck? How did he man?" I don't believe in manifestation, but I believe in fate, and fate is gonna hopefully run its course on us. So, thank you so much for being on here. I was telling people before you got on. This is, I believe, 7 straight weeks in a row that I've been trying to get you on. You've been my number one draft pick because
Oh, yeah, no, that's
I've
awesome.
been a fan of just you on for a while now, and I hope we get to do it again. Anytime you want to do it in your group, count me in. I'll take the
Awesome.
night off on my little YouTube channel. We can do yours, but um,
Sweet.
yeah, thank you so much, man. And yeah, any final words here?
No, just thank you so much. It was so much fun. Like
Give
this
me a
hour and a
prediction
half.
next week. Next week, who's going home?
Oh God. I feel like Bruce's days are numbered, so I'll stick with Bruce.
That's exactly who I was going to say. But if
Yeah.
it's not Bruce, I still think Austin, if he's going to weave that web, he's going to get
Hmm.
Kelly out, and then boom, two full idols, right?
Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
All right. On that note, Josh, thank you very much. Thank you guys for tuning in,
Yep.
and hopefully I'll see you live on your channel maybe as early as next week.
All right. Sounds great.
All
Thanks.
right. See you, buddy.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.